Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And we are down to 3 days until the start, quote unquote, of the 3.5 anniversary. And as we have been doing for the past couple of days, every login screen that we get, we're going to build a team around the characters that are shown. And ironically, we have GOBTA and RANGA. Well, we do have GOBTA and RANGA units. Funnily enough, we have a unit that combines both of them into one, so we'll really get our playtime out of that. So let's build some teams with a GOBTA and RANGA on it. All right, so technically we have both of them on this team. We have technically it's a GOBTA unit, but if you look at it, if there were people who did not know, then it'd be like, no, that's RANGA. So we're going to count this as both of them together, and then the next clip we'll use individual characters. But Tournament Stalwart, extra damage against water, Exalted Champion stage, water stage. So we're not going to nuke with Lumi, we're going to nuke with the GOBTA RANGA fusion character. And this should just be pretty fun and easy. Shinsha is here to alt swap. They don't want us to crit this stage because this is more of a synergy focused event. So we're only going to get half the use out of her. And since we're not using Lumi, we're not going to get some kind of physical buff. So that's why we brought Benimaru. Because Drago from Space Milim wouldn't affect wouldn't affect the GOBTA RANGA character. So let's do 1, 2, 3. And we'll just send these 3 greens. That way we ensure that we have 3 Shinsha orbs. Perfect. Actually, 4. And now we're not going to get any trait there. Let's bring Lumi in for Shinsha. Steal the orbs. Blues are nerfed in this fight, which isn't super great. But we do have access to Rimuru, who can change some of them to rainbows, which does help us get some protection gauge, get some skill points, and most of all get some alt gauge for the GOBTA RANGA character. So we're not going to get a future hand of blues next turn because we don't have access to Veldora, but we can still get some damage in, get GOBTA RANGA into an alt at least, almost to an EX alt. Cool. Alright, there's the body and spirit seal, so like Space Milim wouldn't be useful here anyways. So, what are we doing? I think what we're doing is we are orb changing with Benimaru to change one of those greens. Okay, let's convert with Rimuru again to change that other green orb. We'll bring Shinsha in for Rimuru, and then we will alt swap so we have this full hand here. Now we have access to Veldora. Now we can rush the alt, get some extra skill points on the blue orbs, and get that future hand going. Kind of important. I mean, we didn't really need the alt rush part because we already had so much alt gauge for GOBTA RANGA, but hey, it's nice. I don't think it's going to give to anybody else either. Nope, it's just him. Okay, so I mean, he's ready to go, technically. We can't use his Inspire skill, though, which is kind of unfortunate, because we kind of want to give him some extra attack, but it's sealed, and it's not going to be unsealed until turn 5. So, what I could do here is I could just physical buff him now, or we can hold on to it. So, I mean, what are we going to need when we actually nuke? We're going to need 50, 50, and 40, 140 points. Yeah, we can do that. Let's just keep him in then. 3, 4, 5, 6. 46 points back is not a lot, but he is going to give us 30 as well. And we still have one more turn. So I think this turn, yeah. So here, we're going to use Veldora again. That way we don't have to use the alt swap ability for GOBTA RANGA. We can just let the natural future hand kick in, and then he can go away. And we can bring in, I guess, Lumi for funsies onesies. Cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to be capped out on points. We don't need Veldora, technically, to be activated next turn for the nuke. Also, I'm not... Are we sure that Ranga's going to kill on the nuke turn? I don't actually know. Right, we have 175 points, and we needed 140, right? Well, we can't do that. So, who has the most orbs? Benimaru, technically, but we need his buff. So we'll take Shinsha out, boom, and then we'll bring in Rimuru for Benimaru. Yeah, so let's use that buff, and then bring Rimuru in. And then we'll use the GOBTA Ranga buff and the Rimuru buff. 1, 2. Perfect. Are we going to have enough damage to kill here? How much? He's got like somewhere around 3 million left over. And physical resistance, so might be a stretch. And we don't have his Inspired skill active either. Alright, well let's see if we can actually kill here. Or if we need to actually just nuke with Lumi. Lumi for sure would kill. It'd be a hilarious amount of damage that Lumi would do. But, here's hoping that we do actually get enough damage here. With the Spirit Stream. Oh, we pierced! Yay. That's still... Wow, okay. Well, I guess we'll be right back. Okay, let's try this again. Shinsha out for Ranga. We'll use the Benimaru buff. We actually did get a turn of the Inspire gimmick, so GOBTA Ranga actually has a little bit higher attack now up to 77% because of the one turn of full blues. So that will help our damage by a bit. And now we've got a triple ult, so I mean, we should be able to kill here, especially with Lumi. Even without like an EX ult buff, if Ranga can't kill, Lumi will clean up. And we'll still have accomplished our goal of using GOBTA and Ranga together. Let's send Rimuru first because he has the weakness strike buff. So he'll help us do more damage. 1, 2, 3. So Rimuru, I don't care. 87k. More importantly, the 25% weakness strike. 2.8 million. Almost. If we had sent like his normal orb, we probably could have killed with just him and no help from Lumi, but it wasn't quite enough. But we are not using crit, and this team was crit focused, so 1.2 million, yeah, not even EX ult. So okay, there we go. We used their combined unit. He took out most of the HP, not all of it, but most of it. Now let's put them on a team together as individual characters. Okay, I mean, I'm gonna put them together. Doesn't make it a great team, but Space Ranga did get his EX upgrade recently, so he does have access to an EX ult. GOBTA can orb change turn 1 to try and get us access to Velzard turn 2? Question mark? So, I mean, they might work together. We're just going to go into the old Space Tempered Edge. It wants us to use a physical team, but the stage is a joke, so we're gonna keep going with the joke and just use this weird team. Isis and Kyokyo, I mean, are decent burst damage support characters. Isis, the normal version of Isis, will give us the green buff because we're using Velzard. Holy jiggle physics. Okay, can we get a couple green orbs to convert to blues to make it work for us? Okay, well, we had to reset a few times, but we got it. So let's bring Ranga in for Awakened Isis, since she has the most orbs, technically. And then we'll bring GOBTA in for Kyokyo. We'll use the orb change, so we can... 4 blues will get us access to Velzard next turn, so that'll work fine. And then we're going to get locked in for 2 turns. So that's... GOBTA has an alt swap, so if we do get an alt for somebody, we can at least change it. And then we could use Velzard, probably. And the blues are now nerfed, so it's a very good thing that we used him turn 1. So let's green buff here. This stage, I don't think, wants us to crit, so we could pierce if if I had a skill-fused Ranga. His skill's not even at level 10. Shows you how much we actually use him right now. But Velzard kicks in, changes the whole hand of greens. Those are fine, because this stage you were meant to use green orbs here. And then, as long as we get a lot of Ranga orbs next turn, we should get the EX ult, but we might have to push into like a turn 5 kind of scenario just to ensure that we can get his ult. Alright, decent damage there. A cheeky counter. I don't think 3 will get it, but I think we can get it the turn after. So let's take out... Oh, no, we can't take out Isis. We're locked in. I forgot. Alright, well... What do we have to do anything here? Nope, we sure don't. Except use her again. This time we'll send the damage against Dino. Let's see how close we get to an EX ult here. Moderately close. Yeah, we can push off one more turn. We could send Isis away and then use the ult swap and keep Ranga in. And we should just be accumulating more and more points because we don't have to use much, to be perfectly honest. Instant damage, not a big deal. Isis, you go away. Your green buff is still active for one more turn, so that's perfect. Let's bring Kyokyo in. And then, I mean, we could use the Vitalization, but we're going to get the ult, so there's not really a point here. I specifically wanted to bring Isis and Kyokyo because they're buffing magic characters primarily, and Ranga is a magic character. GOBTA, like, his options are limited. We've got the 4-star one that we use for poison dodge in Jubilee. We've got the GOBTA Ranga fusion card because it technically is a GOBTA unit. We've got the free-to-play Fount of Wisdom GOBTA, and he's just meh. And then there's like Fire GOBTA, who's a joke. If he's skill fused and he's EX upgraded, I mean, he could be fine, but I have him with neither, so not really doing much for us. But let's nuke. Turn 5, this is the turn where Isis and Kyokyo have to use their skills, otherwise they just suck. So let's use the Drago, let's use the ult resistance and the magic resistance, let's use the magic and weakness strike, and then we've got one more Velzard, and then Ranga should easily one-shot everybody because we have way too much power and they don't have nearly enough HP. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ranga ult, not something we see very often, because he is an OG release character, and whoever goes out of their way to think about using Space Ranga on their teams. Alright, let's see, 436, and they only have like 140k HP or something, so maybe a bit more, but yeah, there we go. 3 more days until the 3.5 anniversary start date, technically. GOBTA and Ranga characters successfully used in this video. Let me know what you guys think, but that's it from me. Take it easy, and I will see you all later.